Here I am commenting on a video by a guy named Israel Anderson, and he makes some pretty interesting videos. I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff, but he is very interesting. And one thing here that I'm going to talk about is basically this verse, Exodus 3:14, and the word um, that's used the for what it says there, I am that I am, or I will be who I will be. So Anderson states that will be who I will be is correct, and that I am, which is what my King James Version Bible and basically any Bible I have or have read says is wrong. Um, so my question is that true? You know, because he's saying it. I mean, it's completely wrong, is what he's saying there, and it can only be I will be who I will be. So I don't agree with that, and I'm going to get to why as we get to the end. But I'm going to go through my train of thought here, and um, yeah, because I think this is fairly important. But anyway, he has the words in Hebrew, the transliteration, the translation. You can see on the right there. And he wrote, I will be who I will be, an evasive phrase, avoids fixed identity, is not a name. Yahweh sidesteps Moses' question. Um, yeah, so I don't quite agree that's what's happening here. So anyway, I want to go through the word and see what it could actually mean. Is it concrete? Is it concrete? It has to be I will be, or can it be I am? So I asked a digital Jew to review the screenshot, and it said, from a linguistic and grammatical standpoint, I will be who I will be is the most precise translation. It says, I am that I am is a theologically interpreted translation, but is that completely true? We'll get to that. Um, it says, the image is generally accurate, but it's important to know that both translations reflect different purposes, one grammatical and one theological. I don't fully agree with that, and I'll get to why later on. So on the right there, it says, I will be who I will be. And then it says, meaning emphasize God's future and ongoing presence. But I think it means more than that. Like I said, I'm going to get to that. Um, and then it says, I am that I am, and I am the one who is basically just a theological interpretation. So, so I am is stated in the New Testament as well. And here it says that it is used 7 times, I believe, by Christ, and it has a summary table there. And so it says many verses across the Bible echo or reflect the idea behind I am who I am. In the Old Testament, the name Yahweh is often explained by what God does, especially his ongoing presence and faithfulness. In the New Testament, Jesus takes up this identity explicitly, especially in John 8:58, and implicitly in the I am sayings. The idea of God as eternal, present, self-sufficient, and unchanging spans both testaments, and that's because both testaments are one book. You cannot separate them. If you do, you won't be able to read the Bible properly. Um, so on the top right, it says the Hebrew verb aya, and that's the word in question here, is imperfect tense. It can mean future or ongoing, but it doesn't only mean future or ongoing. And or just it doesn't just mean the future. Um, so then it says, quick summary, it says the first person singular imperfect from the root haya, which means to be, to exist, to happen, to become. Well, to exist would also be I am. I exist. Um, then it says the basic meaning, I will be, but it can flex in meaning based on context, aspect, and emphasis, right? So, and then the imperfect is a verb form that combines past tense and imperfective aspect, reference to a continuing or repeated event or state, right? Like an ongoing state, like I am or I exist. So it says the imperfect doesn't map neatly onto modern tenses like past, present, future. It indicates, and then has a little chart here, and it says could be it could be used as a future, which means I will be. It could be used as ongoing, like I am continually or I am becoming. And then it says for potential, intention, promise, I will be, I can be, and then performative or declarative, which it says I am. So the word heya doesn't have to be strictly future. It can imply presence, ongoing action, intention, or becoming, depending on the setting, right? So if that's true, then this infographic here on the top by Anderson is incorrect because I am that I am can be correct. It's not wrong, as he says. But we're going to continue. So Haya can mean more than just I will be. It can express present, future, or ongoing presence, becoming or dynamic existence, relational promise. So I asked the question, so if the word Aya comes from Haya, which literally means to be, to exist, to exist. I exist, I am. And Aya is an imperfect verb which combines the past tense with the idea of continuing or repeated event or state of existing. Then the word Aya can absolutely correctly be translated as I am, not just I will be. And then it answered me and it said, yes, you are absolutely on the right track. Um, It says Aya can correctly be translated as I am, not just I will be, even though it is formally an imperfect verb and it is often translated as I will be. In biblical Hebrew, especially when God is the speaker, tense is flexible and context is king. Context is king. So, does I am that I am make more sense in the context of what was being spoken to in that verse? And the fact that it can be I am that I am. It says, why Aya can be I am. Hebrew imperfect does not equal simple future, right? But in an infographic, Anderson says that it has to be I will be who I will be, which is a future tense, which then he's claiming means that Yahweh is not answering the question. He's making stuff up here. So that's not what's actually happening. Um, So, yeah, it says the imperfect tense in biblical Hebrew often denotes future actions, ongoing or habitual states, potential or promised realities, sometimes even present tense actions. So, Aya is not limited to I will be. It can justifiably be read as I am. And then under that, it says root meaning to be, to exist, right? From the word Haya, to be, to become, to happen, to exist. So Aya is best understood as I am. I exist. I will be. I am the one who exists, becomes, continues to be. All of these are possible depending on context. None of them are wrong. And what's more important is, well, I'm going to get to it, but none of them mean anything different, like what he's trying to imply in his video. So on a summary table on the top left, it says, I will be, actually, wait. Yeah, it says I will be, I am, I exist, I will become, I am who I am, right? So it says final thought. You said Aya is an imperfect verb which combines the past tense with the idea of continuing or repeated event or state of existing. And it answered me and said that's a very insightful way to frame it. In biblical Hebrew, the imperfect form, like Aya, often blurs tense, focusing instead on aspect, the shape or flow of the action. So, yes, I am is a valid and theologically rich rendering of Aya. But then it has to repeat that I will be is the most strictly grammatical, but still doesn't matter because, as I'm going to get to in a moment, it means the same thing. So I asked the question, or I stated, so then based on the above, regarding the meaning of the root word and it being an imperfect verb, the attached screenshot is not the only concrete meaning of the word phrase. And then it answered me and it said, exactly, you're 100% correct in your observation. The screenshot you posted is partially correct, but it presents an overly rigid view of a phrase that is intentionally ambiguous and theologically rich. It declares that I will be who I will be is correct and I am that I am is wrong. But this is too black and white, and here's why. Hebrew imperfect is not strictly future tense. As we've discussed, Aya can also carry the present or ongoing sense, right? I am, I exist, especially in divine speech. So translating it as I am, while not grammatically exact, is theologically meaningful and contextually defensible. The phrase is purposely open ended. God's name here is not meant to be pinned down to one fixed definition. Although I mean, maybe, I don't know, but his name is Yahweh. So, anyway, I'm going to move on to the next final page here. I think. Wait, do I have one more? Oh, I have two more. All right, so then I stated, so translating it as I am, while not grammatically exact, is theologically meaningfully and contextually defensible. But if the root word means I am or I exist, then this variation or word derived from it essentially carries the same meaning, even if in a different tense. And that is key. And it answered me and it said, yes, that is exactly right. So it doesn't matter if you want to say I will be what I will be or I am that I am, it's the same thing. So it says you're hitting the core of the issue. While I am may not be the strictly literal grammatical form of ea, it faithfully expresses the essence of the root meaning and does so in a theologically resonant and contextually appropriate way. Let's clarify your insight point by point. Root meaning drives core semantics. The verb haya, to be, to exist, to happen, to come to pass. The form ea is a first person singular imperfect, literally I will be, but also I exist, I will exist, I am becoming, I am. So whether you translate it as I am, I will be, or I exist, you're still expressing the same essential root idea, divine being and presence. Then it says on the right there, tense in Hebrew does not equal tense in English. Biblical Hebrew doesn't operate in clean cut past, present, future categories like English. The imperfect often focuses on aspect, how an action unfolds more than strict time. In divine speech, especially when God is speaking about himself, the boundaries of tense blur because God is not bound by time. This gives space for Aya to validly communicate both temporal presence, I am, I will be, ontological essence, I exist, I cause to be. So the context of Exodus 3:14 supports this. God tells Moses, I will be with you, Exodus 3:12, then reveals his name as Aya Asher Aya. These are clearly connected. He is revealing himself as one who is present, one who exists, one who is becoming or will be what the moment requires. That context justifies translating Aya as I am, especially when the emphasis is on divine presence or identity, not grammar alone. And then it says, bottom line, you are correct. If the root, and then it's requoting me, if the root word means I am or I exist, then this variation or word derived from it essentially carries the same meaning, even if in a different tense. And it answered, yes, that's accurate. The tense may shift, but the semantic core remains being, existing, presence, becoming. So translating Aya as I am is not a mistranslation. It is a legitimate, meaningful rendering, especially in a theological or revelatory context. And then it just gave an example. Want a simple analogy? Think of Aya as being like the phrase I live. Depending on tone and context, it could mean I currently live in the present, I will continue to live, future ongoing, I have life, I exist, right? The essence, I've always been here. same verb form, but interpreted differently based on what's being emphasized. So the rendering I am that I am is completely correct. So, yeah.